Good evening, Westborough, and welcome to the 24th meeting of the AFC Westborough for FY 2026. This meeting is pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, an act extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency. This meeting will be conducted in person and via remote means, in accordance with the applicable law. This means that members of the public body as well as members of the public may access this meeting in person or via virtual means. In-person attendance will be at Memorial Hall inside Town Hall at 34 West Main Street, and it is possible that all or some members of the public body may attend remotely with in-person attendance consisting of members of the public. This meeting may be accessed remotely via the Zoom link provided in agenda. When required by law or allowed by the chair, persons wishing to provide public comment or otherwise participating in the meeting may do so by in-person attendance or by accessing the meeting remotely as noted in the agenda. Additionally, the meeting will be broadcast live in real time via Verizon Channel 28 and Charter Channel 192 or via Westborough TV's online platforms at westboroughTV.org and youtube.com/Westborough TV. And to kick off the meeting, we start with the public comments.
Oops.
We did have... Okay, so we do have Police Chief here for public comments. Yes, John, please go ahead. We have John as well.
I can wait till after the chief, but I just had a quick public comment as well.
Okay, we have the Police Chief now. If you are ready, please go ahead with the public comment. And I'm sure folks know you, Police Chief, but would be great if you could just introduce to the rest of the community. He did not say.
I hear him coming. Right there.
We're at 7.
Yes.
Yeah, you missed it. You missed the bell. Detention.
Slap on the wrist by the nose.
Right next door building.
Yeah.
The chief.
So I really, Todd Minardi, your police chief. Thank you. I really just wanted to take a minute to talk about the organizational assessment article. I know I wasn't asked to come in here to address it, but I felt like, I know the town manager has talked about it a couple of times, but I just wanted to give you my position as well. So really what it is examining the current and evolving needs of the police department to make sure that we optimize our resource allocation and community service. So why do we need an organizational assessment, right? Like we had the study back in 2019, it came out in January 2019. That assessment ended in 2024. We didn't actually complete the entire assessment and all the recommendations, but we made other changes as well. So what that assessment did, what that study did was looked really at just patrol staffing. And we've also made other changes since then. We added another patrol nighttime lieutenant. We added the rank of corporal for the supervisory rank. So there's been a couple of other changes that have been made other than just, what the patrol does. Is it important what the patrol does? Yeah, that's 95% of what we do is the patrol division. So it's important to look at it, but I think it's also important to look at the bigger picture. So what we're hoping to get from this new assessment will be a more comprehensive, up-to-date understanding of not only just the staffing needs, but the organization as a whole. And You know, I do have two civilian positions. There's been some discussion for quite a while about staffing the lobby. You know, when you walk into the police station at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, there's no one there to greet you. You have to pick up a phone. It's been that way for quite a while. I don't know that that's really what the community wants or what it deserves, but that's, you know, just my opinion. So I think as part of this whole organizational study, you know, let's look at, you know, should we be staffing the lobby? Is there a different way to, you know, have access for the public in a way that they deserve a service? It's also going to look at, so when we talk about staffing, we talk about officers' times on reports, right? So the IACP, the International Chiefs of Police Association, has a protocol that a third of the officers' time should be spent being reactive, a third of the time should be proactive, and a third of the time is spent doing administrative work. So how much time do our officers really spend doing all that administrative work? I've talked many times about being proactive versus reactive. I strongly believe in being proactive. I try to be a proactive police chief. I try to be proactive about public safety. Command post, right? Proactive. That's what we try to do. We can't just be reactive. So, but we also have to look at the detectives division. How much work do they do? How do we quantify that? Like, how much time do they spend doing reports? Supervisor responsibilities, administrative workload, it all comes into play, right? Let's look at the big picture, not just answering calls for service. So again, the methodology is they're going to look at internal staff interviews. They're going to talk to us individually. They're going to, and a big part of this, right, is the external stakeholders, right? Doing a community survey. We've never done that before. It was something that I felt was important to incorporate into this. It certainly would save a lot of money if we didn't incorporate it, but I think it's important to hear from the community and get their perspective on what their expectations are and whether we're meeting those or we're not meeting those. And it's going to assess the workload and the staffing and the structure. Again, it's comprehensive. It's going to look at it from the top down and the bottom up, right? Like administratively, are we doing what we should be doing? Is there a way to do it better? Can we do our processes and our procedures more efficiently? So again, you know, it's going to assess the investigations, specialized units. You know, we have a lot of specialized units. There's still police officers, but they're assigned to do specialized units, say like crime scene, right? So are we doing it the most effective way? Is there a better way? Again, I only have 2 civilian staff members, but, you know, is their position properly functioning within our organization? Are we using technology to our advantage? I believe we are. I'm a strong proponent of using technology and processes to streamline what we do, to be more efficient and effective. But let's have someone look at that. Is our structure the right way? I believe it is. We added the rank of corporals. I think it was a huge asset to the community and to our department. You're starting to see other departments now start following us. I said it in a different presentation. I prefer to lead and not follow. And I think that's what you're going to start to see. But they're going to look at everything we do from the top to the bottom, not just how we are answering calls, how much time are we spending on calls, but it's going to be really the process from the top to the bottom. Tomorrow we have a group of assessors coming in. We're starting our recertification for accreditation, which is a huge, huge thing for us. For 2 days, they're going to pore over everything we do, all of our policies, all of our procedures, all of our standards. And they're going to make sure that we're following what we're supposed to be doing for accreditation. So I'm greatly looking forward to it. It's going to be a great thing. But this is part of this whole process, right? And so again, I keep saying it, but it's a comprehensive analysis. It's going to look at the future. It's going to look at where we are now, where we should be, I hope, 10 years from now. I probably won't be here, but I want to set the path forward for the future. And I think this is a huge step in doing that. And it's ensuring that we have the resources moving forward to make sure that we're prepared for the future. So I appreciate your support on the article. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Police Chief. Any questions? First, we'll take it in the room and then we'll go to the remote.
Appreciate you giving us extra detail and insight into your
Of course.
opinion.
I will just emphasize, like, one of the things that we've struggled with is this conversation about incidences, and this came up at the meeting that we had, the tri-board meeting. And you guys have done tremendous work about capturing stuff about incidences, quantifying that, but there needs to be greater detail. And I'm hopeful that a study like this, one of the things that draws me to this study is that I hope it allows us to tease apart a little bit better the types of incidences. And I'm not saying we need 1,000 categories to go down to, but to be able to understand, like, where, as you talk about people with different roles, like, not every incident is a huge incident. Not every incident can go to every person. The ability to add some real texture to what we do here beyond the cut at incidences is something I've been talking about for years, and I'm hopeful that a study like this puts that sort of ask to the forefront, whether it's something we have an answer for right away or something we can do, better going forward. So I'm a fan of this and hope we can do that.
I 100% agree. The old study just talked about number of calls per officer. But a call could take a minute, or a call could take 3 hours. I don't know, like, it doesn't seem very helpful even to me when we just talk about calls per officer. So I would love to have, like, more data myself, to explain the fact that I could have 4 officers working and they could all be busy. All of them. At the same time, there's no one available. We can have an arrest which ties up 3 or 4 people for hours. Or you could have an alarm call that takes 2 minutes to go to the alarm. You check the doors, everything's secure, and you clear. So it's not very quantitative, and I look forward to having a lot more actionable data myself so that we can move forward.
And I'd say even the conversation about somebody sitting at the front desk at 4:00, you talked about the lights being out and the look that has, and look important. What the town wants is important, but the metric is safety. What is happening to safety? And this is not the question. The conversation should begin with not having somebody there at 4:00 is impacting our safety because, and oh, by the way, it doesn't look great, or contact, I think that they're keeping a safety focus on this. And again, why I'm a fan of the study is that this is a drive down, and I hope this starts at the locus of safety and builds the reasoning from that. So just food for thought. Thank you.
100%.
On the same
I'm all about safety, by the way.
Yeah.
on the same lines, I had the same question. I mean, like, are there any use cases where, not having somebody in the lobby at 4:00 in the afternoon led to a security issue anywhere in the town? I mean, like, I don't know who would come to a public service office after 4 o'clock expecting that, they will find somebody to do any kind of business. I mean, like, if there is a problem, they would call 911 and they would get directed to the right support. But why would anybody come to a public service office after 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock to expect somebody to be there to answer a question or deal with a parking ticket or something like that?
Personally, I think everyone would expect someone to be there.
I think so.
When they come into the police station, I think the expectation is that there's going to be someone there to help them. I'm not saying at, 2 o'clock in the morning, but I certainly think that at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, if you walked into the police station, you expect someone to be there to help you. That's just me personally. I don't know. I would expect that the community would expect that same thing. Maybe I'm wrong. It's a challenge. There's no doubt that it's a challenge. But again, I think, if this study can look at that and decide with community input, right? Because that's what they're going to do. They're going to talk to our stakeholders. What is your expectation from the police department? And if that expectation is to have someone in there, then let's figure out how to best do it. And if not, okay.
Right. I mean, I agree with Andrew. I think these studies will add value as long as the scope of the study is properly defined and we let them know, the consulting company, whoever is doing the study, has a clear direction of what we are expecting out of that study. And that is very, very critical for us to succeed in the study, which we will be doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll have a very clear scope. I think the town manager's already been working on what the scope would be. And we will have very clear expectations. The goal of it really is to figure out how we provide a better service. That really is the ultimate goal. Like, when I talk about station coverage, again, that's how do we provide a better service? Are we meeting our needs? Is the community getting what they expect? I can sit here all day and talk about numbers and how many police officers I should have and calls and all these other things, but I think really the community wants to hear from somebody else. They don't want to hear from me. Ultimately, what it comes down to.
So I just want to ask Chief a couple of things. I'm, by the way, fully in support of this kind of study. Seeing this presentation, I like what I see. I think there are just a couple of things which come up to my mind when I see this. One is, I know in the last fall town meeting, before the fall town meeting, we had talked about the retention of staff as well. We had the few folks who had left. So is this study also going to cover an objective of seeing that we are right, like all of the things that we talked about here in terms of like what they do, where the most of the time is spent, but would that also lead up to, and you mentioned about the savings as well, but will that also lead up to something where we are able to retain the staff better because now we know what kind of workload they have? So that is one thing which I was hoping I could get maybe not an answer, but at least, will that be also something that can be covered as part of the study? The other thing which I just wanted to bring to your notice, given the overall thing that the finance committee is looking at, is the fact that we do have some zoning, as you may be already knowing, that we have some zoning changes, requests, etc. coming as well. So we do see the population of the town maybe in the near future expanding. I hope it expands, but what I'm hoping with this study, like the way other studies are happening, is we can get a picture of, okay, the current staff is obviously expected to better service this particular town's current demographics or needs and the population size. But let's say if the town population grows by 1,000, what do we need? Some kind of projection which leads up to letting us know that, giving us a better metrics for a decision that, okay, this is what the current staff looks like, and it becomes a no-brainer for us to say that, okay, with this study now we can fall back and say, okay, if the town grows by this much, we need these many more police staff as well to back up on the growth of the town as well. So that's something I would hope can be included.
My expectation again is like, I would hope to have, an 8, 9, 10-year forward-looking plan to take all of those things into consideration.
Perfect.
Town growth, population growth, how is it expanding, what are we doing, how are things going to change? I would anticipate, honestly, like hopefully like a 10-year plan moving forward, so that the department, but also the town can have a clear picture of, where we need to move in the future, long term.
Perfect.
Trying to think back to what your first question was.
Well, the first, retention of staff.
Yeah, well, and again, yes, 100%. Staff retention is extremely important. The town puts a lot of money and a lot of resources into growing our staff. And I don't, I don't want to see them leave. Like I put a lot of resources into growing my staff, right? We do a lot of training. We spend a lot of money growing our staff, and I don't want to see them go somewhere else. The town's working very hard on, a successive contract with the patrol union. They're in negotiations currently. I feel confident that that will be successful, and the town is always supportive of its police department, and I think, that shows with the decisions that are made at, meetings like this. And it's important. But yeah, retaining staff is always important, and if this study can show us ways where, maybe we can improve, then I'm all ears.
I hope so as well. Thank you so
right.
much.
Thank you.
Any questions from the remote? Maybe not. Thank you, Chief.
Good. Yeah.
Thank you, Saroja.
All right. All right.
Yes, John, please go ahead.
Don't keep the meeting going too long. I'm mostly going to do a public service announcement. As you know, we all know there's a bunch of new people on the Advisory Finance Committee, but over the years, we've also learned there's a lot of people who are just new to town meeting. And at the time we have a town meeting, although I publish a small set of rules and how things work, it's really not a very deep dive into what people know to really be an effective participant. So as part of this year's outreach efforts, I've scheduled a session at the library on Friday, March 6th. That's this Friday from 1:30 to 2:30 in the afternoon, where I'm going to have an interactive discussion and presentation about sort of what I think are best practices and how people can most effectively participate at town meeting. So we're going to talk about some of the details about the difference between a warrant article and how that turns into a motion and what that means people can vote on. Going to touch a little on the different funding mechanisms and sometimes why there's more than one listed in an article and how it gets worked into a motion. So we'll talk a little bit about the difference between free cash, raising and appropriating money, and borrowing money. And I'm going to try to use real examples from the actual warrant now that it's closed to motivate some of this. So I'm encouraging anyone in town who wants to learn a little bit about more about town meeting or wants to ask questions about how and why it all works and how they can most effectively participate. Gives people a chance to learn more when it's not under the time pressure of town meeting action process. So again, this Friday, March 6th, the library meeting space, 1:30 to 2:30 in the afternoon. And if there's enough demand, I'll try to find an evening in the next week or so to do another one before town meeting. But just wanted to let people be aware of that and invite any registered voter, or actually anyone in town who's interested, come stop by and listen, learn, and talk about it. So thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, John. And is there a way AFC can help you spread the message? Is there a Facebook post you can share?
I I should mention, the full flyer with reminders is on the town website. It's gone out to some of the town's social media. If anybody wants to share the link to the town's website on any of their social media or through their friends. And I know I've asked Westborough TV to see if they can help spread the word as well. So we'll do what we can and see how it works, and then I'll keep trying to do more and more of it if people enjoy it. So, but thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Okay, anyone else? Seeing none for the public comments, we could move forward with the next line item. I wasn't sure if Christy had something to say in the public comments. Maybe not.
She's back.
Okay, perfect timing. I was gonna move ahead from the public comments, but Christy, do you have anything to add in the public comments before we get to the AFC business?
Do you want me to talk about free cash now?
Yes, sure. I just forwarded. I couldn't get the time to forward. I know you sent it in the afternoon, but I couldn't. So yeah, please go ahead if you can.
So thank you, Christy Williams, town manager. I just wanted to do sort of a brief, I guess, primer on free cash. I know for some of you this is review, but I think it's really important. We do have a lot of articles with multiple different funding sources, and I've heard some discussion at your meetings and other meetings about free cash, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So what is free cash? I think we hear a lot of times that free cash is what comes from budgets that are unexpended. So we tax the residents and then the money's not used and that goes to free cash. And that is one way that we develop free cash, and the advisory that Prashant has sent to all of you talks about this. It's just a one page, but it also comes from unexpended free cash from the previous year. And then this is, I think, is really important, receipts in excess of revenue estimates. So when we talk about revenues and how that lowers the tax levy, if we estimate that money is going to come in at a certain amount, after we've set the tax rate, we can't change that estimate. So if it comes in higher, then that contributes to free cash. Other things that might come in excess of estimates are just unknown things that are going to come in. So, for example, if we had a settlement with litigation or something, those funds would come in, they have to go into the general fund, they close out to free cash. Another example is if we get a grant that we weren't expecting, then money that we would have maybe had appropriated for that project, like I'm thinking of the Ellis Walker land that we just purchased, we had appropriated free cash because we needed to appropriate all of it, but then we got a grant, so that free cash came back to us. So there's just several things that contribute to free cash. It's not just directly on the tax levy. How does the community use their free cash? Just really sort of basic is that the free cash is only available after it's certified. So every year we have to go back to the state and they have to certify free cash. So they look at our balance from the previous year. They look at any estimates that came in. We tell them any unexpended funds. They also look to see if we have any deficits. So that could reduce free cash if a grant came in and we didn't get reimbursement in the right time. As an example of a way that may deplete free cash. So we do all of that work, or the finance department does all of that work to certify free cash. And so usually that means that our free cash isn't available between July, so the beginning of the fiscal year, and September. And this year it actually was a lot longer. As you all know, we didn't certify free cash until February. And so that's why at the October town meeting, we were unable to use any free cash. Only town meeting can decide to spend free cash. So I've heard it referred to as like a rainy day fund or an emergency fund. While you can go back because something is emergent, it's only town meeting that can approve the use of free cash. So we can't spend any of that without authorization from town meeting. And then this third bullet, it has to be the purpose for which it was appropriated. So you see free cash being used to buy a 1-ton vehicle can only be used to buy a 1-ton vehicle. We also, the AFC's reserve fund, as an example, is funded through free cash. It's for your reserve fund. Your reserve fund has certain parameters of how that can be spent. Can't be spent outside of those parameters that an AFC can use their reserve fund. as an example. And so I think one thing that's important there is that means that balance doesn't change. It only changes at town meeting. The free cash balance can only change when there's a town meeting, which we have 2 times a year. How much free cash do we need? So again, free cash is not an emergency reserve. One thing that is an emergency reserve is our stabilization account. So when I speak at town meeting or we talk about the budget, we talk a lot about free cash and stabilization. Stabilization, the state has a stabilization account. That's really your emergency fund. We haven't had to use stabilization, that we've just added to it, I think, in the time that I've been here. And so that stabilization money can only be spent by a vote of town meeting, and it's a 2/3 vote of town meeting for that money to come out of stabilization. And so free cash, we try to keep at 5 to 7.5% of our general fund budget, and stabilization, we also try to keep at 5 to 7.5% of our general fund budget. And when I say that's what we try to do, it's because that's what's outlined in our comprehensive fiscal management policies, which is a pretty long document in the appendix of your budget book. But that's when we're referring to what we use free cash for, how we fund OPEB, how we do capital planning, all of that is within that comprehensive fiscal management policy, which is approved by the select board, but usually, almost always, that I can think of, with input and recommendation from this committee, the finance committee, if we were to make any changes. So that little box up there is showing that if everything is approved at the town meeting in March, we are within our fiscal management policies. So we're a little bit high on free cash when you look up there, but that does not include any amounts for the legal budget or the replenishment of the reserve fund. So we know that there's going to be additional money that's spent, and that will bring us down right within our goal of that 5 to 7.5%. Stabilization, we're a little low because we certified free cash so late. You should expect to see us requesting a transfer in October to bring the stabilization a little bit further up. So that would it would be proposed to come from free cash to go into stabilization again, to keep that reserve fund strong, so that if we ever were in a situation where we needed it, we would have that sort of rainy day fund. And I think this is really important to understand, that we follow this comprehensive fiscal management policy very, very closely. And so when you look at the town meeting warrant that's in front of you, everything that's on there, if it's all approved, will keep us within our comprehensive fiscal management policies. And our policies are really important that we follow, because that's one of the things that helps us maintain our AAA bond rating. So when you're looking at each of the individual requests that are proposing to use free cash, you can know that if you are in favor of them, if town meeting approves them, we are still fiscally sound in keeping with our policies. Certainly, you're also considering other things, which is the value of that item and whether or not you think the town needs it. But if you approve them related to finance, we're still financially sound if they all are approved. In our policies, we talk very specifically about how we use free cash. So there's really 4 ways. One's non-recurring or emergency expenses. The non-recurring is that capital. So all of those capital articles that you see, those are the one-time. Non-recurring, meaning we don't use it for operations. Used to lower the tax rate. We are using about $450,000 of free cash to lower the tax rate in this budget. Funding unfunded liabilities, so other post-employment benefits, we're using money, free cash. And then also for stabilization, which I talked about as well. So here you can see this chart here, we've shown it before. I think John showed it while I was away. The, I guess, yellow color is how much we are estimating the average single family increase to be. And that green bar is how much it would be if we did raise and appropriate, so taxed everyone for the items that we're using free cash instead for. So it's a pretty significant difference, but because we're able to keep our free cash balances strong, and because we do all this planning with the long-term capital plan that we've rolled out this year and kept in touch with our policies, we're able to offset those increases with these one-time purchases using free cash. This is just showing the free cash to lower the tax rate. So the 450,000 is that we use to lower the tax rate it brings down our estimated single family impact. This year it was from 679 to 624. That 624 has not been updated, so you'll get all of those updates tomorrow. Unfunded liabilities. So this is our OPEB funding schedule. This is part of our policy as well. So this year we're using 200,000 of free cash, and then raise and appropriate is 800,000. So we're putting $1 million into our other post-employment benefits trust, and we're continuing to work through that schedule. And then this here is just showing how much of our free cash we are using. So you can see here that in 2022, we have that third bar. That's when we moved money into stabilization. And then you can see how much of the percentage of our free cash. So we have been increasing the amount of free cash that we've been using. So we're around 25% estimated for fiscal 26. And then this is just my last slide, which is what I said earlier. We just got our S&P letter back. And one of the things that they say gives them sort of comfort that we have a long-term positive outlook is our financial management framework based on long-term planning, incorporating realistic assumptions into the budget, addressing pay-as-you-throw capital needs in coordination with the 5-year capital plan, and then maintaining a 5-year financial forecast with a clear focus on structural balance. So just wanted to show these slides. Happy to answer questions, but
Yep.
it's my 5 minutes on free cash.
Can you go back to the table which you're showing us, please?
This one?
No, the small table at the bottom.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The one with
Yeah.
the free cash and stabilization.
So this is basically telling us that right now, after we have our 2026 town meeting, we will have about $10 million in our free cash and $6 million in our stabilization.
Yes.
That includes approving the again, the roofing on the high school.
No, that's a borrow. So that's different. Yeah. That's being proposed as a borrow.
So the numbers which we are showing here are basically anything which gets approved, meaning money being taken out from the free cash.
Right. Yeah. So this is showing every free cash article. There are 4 articles that currently say a sum of money. And so those are not included in that. So the 10.7 would actually further reduce.
Okay.
So the legal, the money that's proposed for the legal budget is coming out of free cash. The money that we would replenish your reserve fund with is coming out of free cash. The patrol union contract, if we're able to move forward with that, would come out of free cash because it's retro pay. And then the last one is the article that has eminent domain in it, because you would have to pay some amount of fair market value for eminent domain.
Okay. Thank you.
By waiting to fall town meeting to increase stabilization, is there a concern that free cash won't be certified for fall town meeting to be able to do that? Or is that just because we had all the turmoil in
It was because we
finance
had a lot of
departments that
turnover.
normally we would be?
Yeah.
I mean, I
so-
know it was close the year before, but we were still in a
Right.
crazy scene.
So this is my 15th year with Westborough. This was the first year that we didn't have free cash certified for October because of all the turnover in the finance department. So I don't have that same concern. I think
Okay.
we have some great people in those positions and we should be all set. We didn't certify until I think that right around when we were closing the warrant, which is why we didn't add the article, because we weren't able to do the exercise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, and so the idea would be to bring that up at least to 5, maybe a
least.
little north of 5 or
Yeah.
something, because the budget keeps
Right.
growing,
Right.
so you wouldn't have to do it again for a little bit.
But if everything is approved, I just want to double check, if everything's approved, then we still maintain our standards then?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
Because everything was adding up to a lot of money.
Yes. Yeah.
And not only that, but we are actually putting some into one of the funds too, right? We didn't actually hit the amount of free cash that we normally would take?
You're talking about the OPEB? I'm not sure.
No, there was some amount of money that's being put into, called stabilization. I don't think that's the right word. The capitals.
Oh, capital stabilization. Yes, sorry. Yes. Yeah, so that's a good point. So there's 3 other stabilization funds. One is mitigation stabilization. If we get mitigation money, depending on the sort of parameters around that, money would go in there. We have the Pulte stabilization, which is funds related to the Pulte project and an agreement that we have. The money goes into that fund. Again, that money goes in but cannot come out without town meeting approval. And then the last one is capital stabilization, which we've carried on the books for several years. There's about $30,000 to $40,000 in there. But with this new long-term capital plan that we've established, we're actually proposing to put over $250,000 in there. Based on the comprehensive fiscal management policy stating that we could fund capital at 1 to 1.5%. So again, even with that parameter, we're still within that 1 to 1.5% for capital costs.
And as part of this reason we're a little higher in free cash is that we used another form at the fall town meeting. We used the
Right.
overlay.
We used overlay
instead of
surplus.
free cash. So that's
So
I don't
part of
remember
it.
how much the total was, but probably
Yeah.
says in my book. But
So that's part of it. This also annual town meeting is where we use the majority of the free cash that we use in a year because that's when we fund our capital plan. Another thing, there were some reductions actually in the capital plan. So the chief Minardi's, the police department's mobile command vehicle. There was also a reduction in the Gibbon School project as another example. But the final numbers are what's on your warrant. So those reductions are shown on your warrant.
So the portion of command vehicle is coming from the free cash.
I'm sorry?
Portion of the funding for the command vehicle is coming from the free cash.
Yes. So originally that was proposed to the capital planning committee as a $474,000 expense.
Right.
Capital planning made the recommendation to move that forward using free cash. And then that sort of the scope of that was reduced through some work that Chief Minardi and his team did. And then he actually was also able to identify offsets. But the amount that's in the warrant through a grant and also the Westborough Police Foundation, but the amount in your warrant is being proposed to be funded through free cash. Yeah.
And unrelated to free cash, can we ask some questions? Or a question? When will we know numbers on the remaining? You said last week there were 4 budget items
tomorrow.
outstanding.
Yep.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow we get the bids for the
okay.
bond. Yep.
So at our Thursday meeting, we might know
Yeah.
what those 4 were.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
So we'll have a new set
And
of warrants.
So no, the warrant will stay the
They'll
same.
stays the
Yep.
same, okay.
What will change is
4 lines on the
your budget table.
Oh, on the budget table.
Just 4.
Okay.
Yep, 4 lines
So-
on your budget table.
The Assabet, the amount they sent us for it's the line in our budget, the capital, the number that's capital plus the normal assessment,
Yes,
That's
the
the-
line in your budget is both.
so it'd be
Yeah.
the 1.8 million approximately versus 1.4 that's in book now.
I don't know what you're asking.
It's because there's like 111,000 of their
Yes.
assessment of us comes from a capital
Right, and
amount.
that was already
And then
included.
there's like 1.7 million
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
student expense.
Yeah.
But the thing that goes in our line is a single line and it's just
Right.
Assabet expense.
Yeah,
and
so
it's-
your budget table is the full amount. If you
Yeah.
go to the education tab in your budget and the Assabet, we break it out there so you
Okay,
can see
yeah.
capital plus assessment.
But we tend to make our motions for the budgets
Right.
on that, so it's the total.
It's the total, yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Christy. I hope this was a good 101 on the free cash.
Yeah, it was great.
It was pretty good.
Awesome. All right, so we move to the.
Oh, I guess, sorry.
Go ahead.
There were a couple articles which we didn't really talk about that were kind of new, and I didn't know. I'm not sure exactly who speaks to them, but there's.
Could you remind us which were the new ones?
One was the contract, I don't know.
Well,
The police contract?
so much,
Yes.
but that will happen if it happens. But the in the back there were things like
24 and 25 were new.
yeah, there were like for a utility easement.
24 was easement
and
for
there's
West
a
Park
new
Drive
traffic light,
and a utility easement.
Flanders, and things like that.
Which article number are you referring
24 and
to? 24
25.
and 25. Easement of West Park. DPW. You would like more information on that, Walter?
I didn't quite. I did. Yeah, I don't know. The traffic lights. I don't know. It just like seemed strange to me because it got thrown in at the end.
Okay.
I don't understand what.
So yes, more
from.
information.
Get more information. I
TLDR,
can.
yeah.
It's from Public Works, right?
Yeah,
That's-
it's from Public Works. So
Okay.
I would reach out to Chris. Anyways, I'm planning to. So that's the other thing where I'm planning to reach out to Chris for. So this year our snow and ice budget has been obviously been shackled by the amount of snow we got, and we have to probably be planning for a bit more money for our reserve. AFC reserve. So I'm going to reach out to Chris to get some estimate on what amount we should be putting a reserve for.
Well, I thought what John had said was that you guys might put in a reserve request before town meeting for some snow. No. Okay. Yeah, I guess the thought was that if we knew now that you didn't know a few weeks ago, but if we were this far behind, that we could transfer some out of the existing reserve and then refresh it. Because we just have sum of money
Well,
in the
you're-
article, so
right,
we
but
haven't
you're-
decided what that sum of money is going to be.
But if their deficit
But
spend
it would
approval
depend
is
whether there were
250.
additional transfer requests. 'Cause-
So I think you could do it either way, the way that the article is written. I think you could either spend it down and then
Yeah,
replenish it, or you could just increase it to the amount that you needed to. Because the
Right.
way that it's written, it just says transfer free cash, from free cash, a sum of money
sure.
to the 26. So you could do
Yeah.
it either way.
But I guess the question is, we're probably looking for guidance on how much.
And I think
I
that's
think
what
it's
Prashant
gonna be
was going
right,
to reach
yeah.
out to Chris about. Yeah, because they've had 2 requests at this point.
So
Oh, yeah.
far.
So then we have, yeah,
Well, then there's another
so
one
if
for the
nobody's
department.
we don't write the request, so if not, so the answer might be, we may want to refresh it beyond what it started with. It's not just refreshing, we're adding, but I
Adding
guess we'd
more.
have to hear what the number is first to know. Because in the end, after snow and ice, you still want to have money for something, pipe breaks in some building or something, whatever.
Right. So I guess what I'm looking for now is a guidance on, let's say we get a number of, an estimated number from Chris for the snow and ice that we should estimate for further. What else do we need?
I was just gonna say, if you're gonna have Chris come for those other 2 articles on Thursday, I'm sure he could complete a reserve fund transfer request so that you could consider it that day, and then maybe you'd have a better idea of how much you want for the
That's a
article.
great idea. Okay.
And there's one other new one, but that was the fire department, but
Yeah, that got separated from the police.
yeah, got separated from the
Yep,
police,
yep,
yeah.
yep. Do you need more information on that as well, or are we good?
No, I listened to the one that Karen sent us, so, which still confuses me because I know we've talked about this before, but we're spending money on studies and everybody's saying they're short of help. You know, it just, and the fire, when the fire did their presentation at the planning meeting, I think it was, they were saying how they, you know, were still short of help, but then we're going to spend money to do a study and it's confusing.
I think for, if I may, for this particular article, for the 50,000.
Yeah.
I know we sort of quick switched on everybody with this new idea, but this article is not as much about the Westborough Fire Department staffing. It's about the feasibility of doing regionalization with another community, which is
Okay.
much different.
But he still says he's short of help, you know, so
Yes.
it just is confusing for us to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on these studies when we know the end result is going to be hire more people. That's what I feel.
Well, this study isn't studying that. This study is
Not on this one in
it's trying to
particular, but
decide if it's
the other
makes-
one.
If you get better services at a more of a value if you were to do a regional fire.
Yeah, not that one aside, but some of the other studies that have come up.
So
You know.
the other piece I would say is that the 3 study articles are being funded out of that free cash.
Right.
So that particular funding, I mean, whether you think the study is worthwhile or not is a different discussion, but that particular funding would not be used to hire additional people.
Oh, it wouldn't, okay.
No, because those hiring people is operational, so it would be on the taxes as opposed to use of free cash, which is for one-time expenses.
Oh, okay, thank you.
But I do have a question, which is this, that the free cash could be used for, other purposes rather than these studies. So we don't address that, right? I mean, here, while we know that free cash would be used for these studies, but we don't speak to, is that a worthwhile usage, and would there be a higher priority expenditures instead that we could utilize the free cash for? We don't make any comment on that, correct?
No, we comment on that all the
It's
time.
simply
That's what
that.
we comment on. It's up to us to
Yeah.
decide whether we think any of these articles are worthwhile use of funds. I mean, that's what
Yeah,
I always think
exactly.
of, so I don't know,
Yep.
I don't know what
I'm saying it tongue in cheek, but what I mean is that the fact that we would use free cash for these studies does not preclude us from the due diligence required to determine if these studies are necessary in the first place and, if they're worth
True.
the cost that has been proposed. That's all.
Absolutely. That's true of every piece of equipment or,
Yeah.
everything that's brought before us. Yes.
Great.
It's very important always, to not let the lure of the fact that it's so-called free cash that it means
It's available to spend.
it means you still gotta spend it wisely.
Yep. Exactly.
Completely agree.
Thanks. Okay, so I'm sharing the spreadsheet that we have. Thanks to Andrew for keeping us up to date with all the numbers and articles and the voting. Thank you, Andrew.
Love your feedback, man. You're a warm and fuzzy guy. That last guy was an ogre.
Lady.
Okay,
Kidding.
so I think
Request you strike
You mean the guy before the last guy?
all right. So the ones in the yellow are really the ones I think we can skip for now because they are the ones where we are still waiting for more information. As an example, prior year bills, I don't think we have heard anything yet so far, so we'll still keep a wait till we hear back. I don't remember we can vote for it, I guess, as a recommendation, but cannot be without a
For
number.
what?
For the prior year bills.
There aren't any.
There aren't any,
So it'll get, the motion at town meeting, if there remains none, will be to pass over. So we would vote at town meeting to recommend the town vote in favor of passing over
Passing
the
over.
article. But if there was a bill that showed up in the next 3 weeks, 2 weeks? How many weeks? We don't have that many weeks left.
2, I think.
Then we would, and so that's probably one that we probably put in the booklet that we'll vote our recommendation at town meeting.
During the town meeting.
Unless it happens sooner, because it just, it's really a placeholder because they can't bring it up at town meeting if it ain't in there.
Makes sense. Got it. Yep. So that's one we skipping. I think reserve fund refresh we talked about. I'll check with Chris to if he could possibly come on Thursday. That could cover how much we need for the reserve fund refresh. Legal expenses, Christy and John will provide how much money will be in the legal expenses line. Petrol union, we are still waiting. Probably it will be last minute, like around the town meeting itself. Operating budgets, what I got to know today was the operating budgets will be voted on by select board. I think it's March 10th, right? March 10th. So we could possibly vote for all the operating budgets now, except maybe 4, or we could wait until the select board votes or hear them and then vote for it. Could be a choice we make. But then there are 4 lines, like Christy said, still waiting, which is the Elizabeth health, debt, and the police. Police because of the contract, debt because of the bond. We are still fixing what will be our rate. Health is really the insurance piece of the operating budget. And Elizabeth, I believe we already have the line. So
We know the number. It's
We know the
just
number.
changed from what's in our book.
right.
So, yeah.
So I think we can keep the operating budgets at the end once we have seen what articles we can vote upon. But I'm open to what you guys recommend.
I think I'd recommend to go through them and see if there are ones, if there are a bunch of them that there are no questions
Yeah,
on.
I agree.
We could get a bunch of them out of the way now, and then put the question ones in a bucket for later.
I think we went through that exercise about the questions. I believe
Did we have any?
we did not. I mean,
Okay.
whichever ones we had, not on the operating budgets at least, we got the questions.
So
We
then
went through each line by line on each department of operating budgets. But I can redo it today if we wish after we have gone through the
Or we
lines.
could just vote
Yeah.
all but those 4, I guess.
Yep.
Or unless someone wants to voice that they had a question besides those 4. Or actually, it's 3 because we know the number first.
Right. My only question I remember was on the youth and family services. But other than that, I did not have a question on the rest of it. We have heard from school. School had questions in that meeting. We already got answers from the questions. We had a presentation on that as well. So school and youth and family services, I didn't hear anything else on the operating budget line. Okay. So we'll come to that. Article 8, can we vote on Article 8 now? Community Preservation Program budget.
Yeah.
Oh, I have it as Article 7 in the list I'm looking at. Yeah,
Let's go for
those
it.
are just the budgets.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's updated.
yeah, the numbers changed a little bit, but not much.
Want to do that?
Community preservation is now Article 7, right?
Preservation
No,
Program budget.
Article 8,
It's Article 8.
Community Preservation Program.
Are you looking at the most recent
Version, version 6 is what I'm looking at.
Well, there is a
There's a final
official
version now.
final version now.
There's a final 6.
The 7, which is fine.
Oh, is it, does it say 7? No.
No, it just says fun. Walter, you gonna?
I'm trying to
When
figure out
did it-
what we're actually moving here.
Do you want me to forward you?
Yes, please.
I move that the AFC recommend the town vote in favor of the Community Preservation Program budget with appropriations of $25,698 for administrative expenses, $324,317 for budgeted reserves, $54,500 for open space, $54,500 for community housing, and $54,500 for historic resources.
Bradley second.
Any discussions, comments? I know, Chris, you don't have it. I'm just forwarding you that. Oh, I'm having trouble finding your name. Okay. Yeah, I'm not getting your name for some reasons. Sorry about that.
Hey, Pete. You guys are on Thursday.
Still did not come up. Yep, just sent you, Chris. Okay, all right.
Prashant, just sorry to interrupt, but Thursday, right? Is the date the 5th, I thought.
That's right. March 5th was for
I think it
the
was the date you
specialized energy
originally-
code.
It was the date you originally requested, and he wanted to see if you could move it up, but you guys couldn't. so-
Yeah, it was February 27th, 26th, or yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Perfect.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, and apologize for that. Yep, confusion. All right. Any discussion, comment? You got it? Okay. Any discussion, comments on Article 8, Community Preservation Program budget? Then let's start voting. Ahuja, yes.
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Clap, yes.
Oh, Hansoke, yes.
Yes.
Leslie, yes.
Terry is not
Terry's
present. So Article 8, Community Preservation Program budget has got approved.
700.
Tell anywhere. Oh, it goes. Did not get updated. 700.
No Beth, no Terry.
Yep, no.
Yep, 700. Okay. All right, moving ahead, we've already voted on Article 9, revolving funds, reserve funds.
Next one's the small business program.
That's right. 10D, we had a presentation from EDC in the last meeting. Ready to vote on this one, Article 10.
Yep.
D.
Yes.
I
Go ahead,
just
Bob.
have to
Yep.
get to it. 10D. I move the AFC recommends town meeting votes in favor of transferring from free cash $60,000 for the purpose of the small business grant program.
Bradley, second.
Any questions, comments on small business?
No.
No, I'm good.
Okay. Ahuja, yes.
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Clap, yes.
Hansoke, yes.
Kumsi, yes.
Leslie, yes. That's it.
We are recommending Article 10D, Small Business Grant Program, 700. Okay. The next one,
Playground
Which is-
replacement?
Yep.
playground replacement, Article 11B.
Leslie, I moved, the AFC recommends the town use $150,000 from free cash to fund the Hastings Elementary School playground replacement.
150,000 from community preservation.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Reservation.
I recommend, I move that the AFC recommend that we transfer $150,000 of community preservation funds for the purpose of the Hastings Elementary playground replacement. Thank you, Ann.
Specifically, community preservation's open
Open.
space. Because it's coming from the
Communities
special-
Preservation Open Space Reserve. Got it.
Bradley seconds.
Any questions or comments? Ahuja, yes.
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Clap yes.
And so, okay, yes.
Kumsi, yes.
Leslie, yes.
The AFC recommends Article 11B, which is the Hastings Elementary School playground replacement. 700. We move ahead with the Article 11C, which is the historic windows, and we had the CPC as well as Westborough TV come forward and present it in the last meeting.
Yep.
Leslie, I move the AFC recommend town meeting use $91,085 from the Community Preservation Historic Reserve and $36,815 from the Community Preservation General Reserve account for the purpose of preservation and rehabilitation of historic windows at 33 West Main Street.
Bradley, yes.
Any questions,
Bradley,
comments? Second, yes. Thank you for waking us up.
I'm jumping ahead.
Okay, so any questions, comments on Article 11C for the preservation and rehabilitation of historic windows at 33 West Main Street?
I will say I was very skeptical of voting for this, in favor of this one, until it became apparent there's 18 windows that are being impacted here at an average cost of about $7,005 per, or $7,105 per window, which, given those windows, given that they're historic, seems like a better deal than I thought it was going to be.
I agree. Yep. Great. Ahuja, yes.
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Clap yes.
And so, okay, yes.
Kumsi, yes.
Leslie, yes.
And the AFC recommends 11C, which is preservation and rehabilitation of historic windows at 33rd West Main Street. We move next to 11D,
No, we never talked about that one, huh?
They haven't come in yet, have they?
Cemetery Historic Commission.
Were they coming to see us?
Oh, we asked.
You haven't requested, no.
I don't think we asked.
We did not ask, yeah.
They did present also at the select board. See if we could have them in. It's basically restoring gravestones in the Midland Cemetery, whether they get knocked down, broken, or
I would like to look at, personally, I'd like to look at, if they don't come here, I'd like to look at what they did at the select board.
Do we know when they were at the select
it's
board?
the same meeting, last meeting, right?
At the fire, the same with the fire?
chief was there. And weren't all the proponents there at the same time?
We had 2 meetings. I can still.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
That was a 5-hour meeting too.
Yeah.
I know.
Even at 1.5.
Don't tell
speed.
Christy knows.
Christy, do you ever sleep?
After town meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's hold up.
Hold on for
Yeah.
this one for more information.
13.
Okay.
C, I think we wanted some more information on this.
12D,
Oh, 12.
the capital improvement plan for the police mobile command vehicle.
Oh, jeez.
All right. Go ahead, Walter. 12D.
Yeah, mobile command, okay. I move AFC recommends the purchase of, transfer from free cash $282,468 for the purpose of buying a mobile command vehicle for the police department.
Bradley, second.
Any questions?
I'd like to know from y'all, since you've lived here longer, do you see this as a good purchase for Westborough?
So the my instinct is to say that we hire good people to give us the best advice, and they are going to very much on occasion look, selfishly is the wrong word, that look within the confines of their own business for things to, to make their own departments as good as possible, and that's what we would want them to do, to advocate for themselves. I that's my long-winded way of saying anything that we would speculate the value for this, we would only be guessing, and that the money here to me fits within our capital plan, and that's why I asked we make sure we do a better job of tracking this. We would know over time if this is the kind of vehicle that is providing value to the town. Whereas I was vocal against the gun range the year before, I see a place where this has an opportunity for a town that's growing, that has more events, that has, clearly an opportunity to have a better circumstance for the police to do the work they need to at a moment that it needs to be important. So,
I'm from Lynn. Lynn could use one of these.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Lowell, Lawrence, that the 3 L's. I just never felt Westborough was.
I think this is where I was also, to be very honest, very much of like, is this a need versus a want, or I would love to have it? That's how I started with this article. But I think from the presentations, I could feel that with so much happening in the town and everywhere around us, I think I do see those drones flying on top in those events as well. So definitely having this kind of coordinated, it moved from my love to have to something which can definitely make us better, especially when I consider the fact that our town is growing and there could be more things coming. We got to be ahead in terms of our coordination, and police is the first thing I start with. Like, I think 3 things as my basis: education, safety, and well-being of the people. And I think this is something which comes in the safety as not really still a must-have, but definitely to remain ahead from when we move forward. That's how I saw it when I heard those presentations.
I came into this very skeptical, particularly at the original number, which was almost
$400,000.
$500,000. But I will say, presented good arguments, but also they went out and found $85,000 worth of funding, 35 from a grant, 50 from the police foundation, and lowered the basic cost of it. So now you're down to something that's, and it's, it's more in a $20,000 a year kind of thing number. So it seems far more reasonable to me and value driven than the original value proposition, which was, I was taken a little bit back because it was, the cost of an ambulance, but almost, at least 2/3 of it.
And he mentioned the capitalization committee, which you're on, right? Are
Yeah.
you?
He's on.
They approved
our
the
rep.
full amount.
Correct. Well, and again, the full couple of things were happening at the time that we originally approved it, is that he was going after grants, additional grants,
Yeah.
that we thought could bring down the price much more significantly. That ended up not materializing. And we actually revoted it again at the lower amount. But that being said, the capital plan was also within our 1 to 1.5% budget range. So from the point of view of where the town, that's Christie, the police chief, and everybody else, had made the case that this was what we needed to spend our capital budget on, it was easy to wrap this in as part of the bigger interest of where we thought it met the town needs at the budget, at what we're trying to do. So
Okay.
it fits within the plan. And I think the example I gave of the gun range might not be the best either. Like, we did an electrical police car a couple of years ago as well. And this might be a better example of, I think, comparison. The town ended up passing it. We have the electrical police car. Ideally, there's still information being taken about that. We're capturing data about that. But it turned out it wasn't a police car. It was the police chief's car. And it's no longer the police chief's car. I believe it's being used for something else. But it was clearly being implemented in a way that was not the way that was presented to the town, as I recall. Which is to say, it was not just a police car, although the police chief clearly was a police officer. But it wasn't being used as a police car would have been the normal police fleet. So with that in mind, we gave him a shot. I think there would be a different conversation now with some hard data as to how it was being used to inform the conversation. Same thing with this command center. I know that the fire team has command centers they use multiple times. I don't know why it wouldn't be the obvious next step to have for the police to have the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, the example he gave kind of resonated very well with me. The fire truck with a ladder. I mean,
Yeah, I know.
we don't. I mean, did we use it? No, but when we need it, if we don't have it, we could lose lives.
Right.
So this is of a very similar kind. I mean, with all the events which are happening in the town, especially the summer picnic, and all that stuff. If you have this stationed, and you can keep watching the entire premises through drones. I mean, see keep an eye on if any bad elements are doing something with the families, kids being around in that area. So I think it is definitely something which will be used.
Okay. And Jane, you're really quiet. You don't have an input on this.
I mean, I'm really torn. The reality is when we look at significant budget increases in any given year, I think the question has to be, is there something that we could trim? Is this something that could wait another year? I think that this is a nice to have, it's important to have, right? If we didn't have a ladder truck and we needed one, we'd call one of our mutual aid partners.
Yeah.
And if we needed a command center and we didn't have one, we have partner, so I think it's I can obviously see the reason for it and the logical need. At the same time, I do think to some extent it's a nice to have, not a need to have.
So when you said there are partners
Yeah,
we could rely on, sorry, Saroja, just one thing I wanted to clarify on Jane's comment. Do you know, because that's one thing, that's a good point, that what I heard was that there are no other towns who have yet been using mobile command vehicles. So
I don't know that there are other towns. So I actually had this conversation with a police officer working in another community, and the idea that if you had in most incidences where you had a significant enough need where you were to set up a mobile command, the probability you have state police involved, that MEMA's involved, right, depending on the situation, the probability is that someone else is involved. State police does have a vehicle. Worcester County does have a vehicle. So does that mean there's always a vehicle available? No.
correct.
Right. And I think the chief made that point very clearly, right? Like state police are actually bringing in a very large truck, and that is only going to be probably the
Certain-
most extreme of
Yeah.
situations, right?
Certain events.
But then the situation where one is genuinely needed, certainly there is other law enforcement agencies with whom we work who have something. So, I mean, I think it's a tough question. There is obviously a logical argument for it, right? It's not trying to buy drag racing cars because it would be really fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Good point. Yeah, no, thank you for the clarification. Yeah, just wanted to make sure that is there something I'm missing in terms of other neighboring towns who are having these vehicles?
Soroya, what were you going to say?
It's one that I'd be surprised if there wasn't a split opinion.
I think
yeah,
to Jane's point that I think it's a nice to have. The reason, and then at the last discussion, I was trying to understand what is it that we are not able to do. It sounds like the police department is doing everything and that it needs to do. They were able to find the missing, the individual. I think she was a patient with dementia.
Yep.
They were able to find her in the absence of the mobile vehicle command. They did find her, and I think what would have helped is if we could have just clarified a little more, And it didn't sound like she was put at risk. She was found within a reasonable amount of time. And similarly, events have happened at Westborough over time throughout. And these events are well managed. It's not as if we're in this precipitous, catastrophic situation where these events can't be managed. Can the events be managed without drones? Certainly they can. And we've been doing, I mean, the police department has been doing that for prior years. So I was being challenged. I was having a little bit of difficulty trying to understand what is that critical need that is being addressed by the presence of this mobile command. I didn't see that criticality. But again, if we're just talking about evolution, hey, this is just a natural progression and we just want to be evolved. I think that's a different posture to take. You know, I think we're like conflating different concepts, like the criticality of what's needed versus is this just an evolutionary step and we just want to evolve. So that's my perspective. And Jane, thank you for your comments because it inspired me to say what I just said.
My understanding is it's not just to find people. It's like, for example, we are having a block party in the based commons, and this will give police an ability to watch the entire party sitting in one place rather than having police people walking around the Bay State Commons to see if there is anything happening. They can sit in one place, get the antenna up and, run the camera just to have an eye on every single corner of the block party. So this could potentially prevent any kind of crimes. Value?
So is the value derived greater than the cost, which is, the cost required to purchase this vehicle? That is not clear to me. Like, is the value obtained by the centralized surveillance greater? Like, is the cost savings achieved with this centralized surveillance greater than the cost required to purchase this vehicle? I don't see, perhaps it's there, but that has not become apparent to me. Do you understand? I am not seeing that value proposition. I mean, and just to repeat that, I am not clearly seeing, is the cost savings achieved from the centralized surveillance greater than the cost that we would have to put forth to purchase the vehicle? I'm not seeing that.
Agreed. So I think, Saroja, we got your comment. I think this is why it seems like this is why we are 9 of us voting here, right? Because we have obviously we want to have our opinion valued. I just feel that this is also why, just going back to the previous meeting, right? This is where, if you remember, we had requested the town chief as well. Very similar to these conversations that we had. We requested the town chief to maybe come up in the presentation with a few more compelling incidences rather than just relying on that one particular use case, because this is exactly the reason why we feel that this mobile vehicle is definitely having more value than just finding somebody. There could be more critical events where, whatever the stopgap I wouldn't call it stopgap arrangement, but something where they have to assemble a lot of things to come together to do the task. But is it, like you rightly said, is it a must-have versus, would be good to have? That's questionable, as you said, in the evolving. But we heard your opinion. I think we could possibly start with the voting, but I'll let Andrew finish his thought.
Sorry, yeah, if I think the piece that I don't think has been brought up enough, and maybe I just remember it from the CapEx conversation, is that the town is growing and has more larger events. And that may be where what we have as history isn't as good a representation as what we have going forward. Every large event is a risk vector. And as we grow larger and have larger events and have more large events, as we have bigger companies come to the community, those opportunities for these risk vectors increases. And we could wait until something bad happens, or we can get ahead of it and say, you see, it was a waste of money because nothing bad ever happened. But you don't know if the prophylactic measures you took helped offset or make those things more safe. So I still feel where we are going as a town the opportunity to save. And Suraj, I absolutely get, weighing, past history in terms of where the value is. But I think things are changing enough that we don't want to wait until it's too late to roll something like this out, reactively. So my
Awesome.
two
So
cents.
yeah, basically you're saying this is a preemptive preventative measure for an anticipated increase of a risk vector based on population growth. I think that's something to consider. Okay.
But I also say that the growth is not anticipated. The number of activities happening is not anticipated. I mean, those are real things happening, but it's very fair to say, does that minor increase over time, the last couple of years, last 5-10 years, do those minor increases every year really, are we the frog in boiling water that's waiting for something to go bad? Or are we overestimating the risk? It's a fair question.
And
Absolutely.
that's
I think it's
yeah.
worth saying that the reason there are 9 of us here
Yep.
is John wants opinion from a variety of people. And people should not feel pressured or bad or anything about
Exactly.
if you don't think it's a value, then you can vote no, and other people might vote yes, and it'll go. It ends up wherever it is. It's just our recommendation to town. In the
Representation of
end,
town as well.
typically the ones we're split on, town meetings split on,
Yeah.
they come in either with us or different, but it's not unusual. And I know there's this, there shouldn't be an anxiety about voting
Which way you have to
differently,
go. Yeah,
because that's really our job. So I just I want to encourage people not to feel bullied or
Yep.
pressed into ever voting how you don't feel.
But we don't want to be arrested.
Those jokes are probably not.
Well,
you
and
said that
my
several times now. That's probably not real.
no, that's just a joke. But my husband was in the military for 24 years. It looks exactly like a military vehicle. And nowadays, with what's happening with ICE and all that stuff, it just casts a fear on people to see this black mobile command unit pull up. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to ever be in the position where he would say, I told you so, we needed this, So I don't know, I'm torn.
And that's probably how it will be in the town meeting as well. So it's a
You
great
get to vote again
representation
at
of
town meetings.
exactly.
It's just a recommendation.
So yep,
And if people change all their minds, we can vote again.
absolutely. And you had your recommendations and to paint it white in the picture at least.
Yes, and that actually came from one of the select people at our summit meeting, and she said in this age of what's going on, could we make it white instead of black? It just connotates something more evil than good, So,
Since thank you. All right, ready to vote? Let's start. I think you've already seconded that. Have you?
Yeah.
You did, right?
I
Okay.
made the motion and
You made the motion.
seconded.
He pressured me in a second.
I put the knuckle on him.
All right. We'll start with the voting. Ahuja, yes. The
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes?
Clap no.
It's okay now.
Kumsi, yes.
Leslie, yes.
Okay. So this is one where we have 5-2-0. Yes, 5-2-0. So the AFC recommends Article 12D,
D, yeah.
which is the Police Mobile Command Vehicle 502. Thank you. Let's move ahead with
520.
520, sorry. I apologize. 520, yep.
Okay, so the next one I notice is 13C.
Yes, that's right. That's 13C. I know John had to get some information from Mark about this. Christy, would you be knowing? Did John get any information on this?
So related to the Memorial Hall, my understanding is that the question that was asked of John was whether or not there would be some additional costs for documentation manuals and things. Is that accurate?
Training, I think, was a
Training.
question, and there were,
Scope of sound, I believe that was something which was asked as well, that sound systems were not in scope of this. It
Yeah.
I
was-
think what it was is the speakers were staying, but the sound
Yeah.
was included, the audio equipment.
So this is an email that I received.
And we
from-
mostly ask about training because, like, when we come in here, we're clueless how
Oh,
to push. You know, if there was a sheet that showed you how to do stuff, it would be
So-
helpful. Yeah.
So I don't know about specific training. I know any documentation would be included. I know that was answered. We could do a better job training folks who are using the room, certainly. I know that at the budget summit, there was a question about things that were not going to be included, so I can tell you. There was a question about replacement of 16 speakers. That would be an additional $9,000. That's replacing projector screens, another 8,000, 12 new microphones and software, hardware, 8,500, and then a new rack and associated hardware, 6,000, and with a service agreement of 8,500. So to do everything would be another $40,000. But after Mark went back and looked at that, he continues to recommend the 200,000. He thinks that would meet the needs of the system.
I thought it didn't include speakers.
Correct. So it doesn't.
Oh, so
yes, that's what he
okay.
looked at.
Okay.
So it does not include speakers, microphones, new rack,
Okay.
and then obviously the service agreement for those items.
I mean, did anybody do any kind of evaluation to see if the speakers will long for at least few years? I mean, it should not be a case where we buy this equipment now, and sure enough, a couple of years down the line, the speakers are broken and they start malfunctioning.
Yeah, I believe that came up at Capitol, Andrew. I don't know if you remember. I believe that was the original quote was based on the idea that the speakers would.
Yeah, and it's modular, so there's no. If I recall, there wasn't any like cost savings to be got with them now. Like what the issue is that the hardware is past its useful life, so that is the precipitating need to dig into this.
Okay.
And past its warranty, actually, it's not just useful life; it's past its warranty. So, I think the need was really to focus on what we needed to get this up to speed.
So if the speakers go bad a couple of years down the line, we can just get the
Yeah.
speakers.
Yeah.
With whatever price it would be at that point.
At that.
That's
Yeah.
correct, sir.
Great. So are we comfortable voting on this, or do we have any other questions?
We just have to get to 13C.
Yep.
Looks like we are good.
200 free cash.
Leslie, I move the AFC recommend town meeting vote in favor of transferring $200,000 of free cash for the purpose of the Memorial Hall audiovisual upgrade.
Bradley, second.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, let's go ahead with the vote. Ahuja, yes.
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Lab, yes.
That's okay, yes.
Kumsi, yes.
Leslie, yes.
So we are voting 700 as a AFC recommendation for Article 13C, Memorial Hall audiovisual upgrade. Okay, the next one is 14A, which is the land management plan.
I move the AFC recommend town meeting vote in favor of transferring $90,000 of free cash for the purpose of creating land management plans.
Bradley, second.
Any questions or comments on the land management plan?
I thought it was really useful being able to look at the examples that were sent.
Yeah. They talked a lot about birds.
Birds are important. And to get an idea. we have, making plans for these areas, as we know, they're, I think there have to be some choices made that we don't keep everything always, we're not turning them all into pristine places, you're leaving some stuff wild.
Yeah, I mean, it has to
Because
be
we really
natural.
can't afford to do that, nor would we probably want to. But I think the idea of at least thinking about it and writing it down is always a good idea.
Any other thoughts, comments? I personally still felt that this could wait in terms of what we are doing now. I think given if I have to choose between the studies we are doing and a land management plan, I think this is one of the ones which possibly is something which still, I think from the plans that were shared, does not convince me enough to say that are we getting some projections throughout or some guidance in terms of our future plans on, usage of the land or where we stand at the moment. So for me, this was something which could wait. Any other comments? Okay. All right. Ahuja, no.
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Clap, yes.
Okay, yes.
Kupsi, yes.
Leslie, yes.
Okay. So we have 610 for approving as a recommendation. For recommending, not approving, but for recommending Article 14A Land Management Plan. Next, we move to Gibbons Article 14I, which is Gibbons Middle School Field House renovation.
I move the AFC recommend town meeting vote in favor of transferring $46,000 of free cash for the purpose of the Gibbons Middle School field house renovation.
Bradley, second.
Any questions or comments? Okay, ready to vote. Ahuja, yes.
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Clap, yes.
Okay, yes.
Kumsi, yes.
Leslie, yes.
So we have, AFC has voted 700 to recommend Article 14I for the town. Gibbons Middle School Field House renovation. Okay. We will skip 15B, given that the school number is there for borrowing, but then do we want to wait until the bid comes for this one?
Till who comes with this
For
one?
the bid.
When did
Until
they
the
think
bid.
they'd have a bid? They
Don't think
they'll
they
bid
have a-
before town meeting? School roof?
I believe they said they're opening bids on March 11th, and then they're going to be reviewing them. So I think they said they wouldn't be ready with a number until, I think, the 17th or 18th.
They said, she said March 18th.
March 18th.
March 18th,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, one strategy, I mean, is we can re-vote it at town meeting floor, but if you want it in the book, you got to vote before the
Yeah. Yeah.
the general recommendation, or we can just say we'll vote it.
The town meeting.
It's
Yeah.
Well, we've got an amount
50-50
in
if you
there.
think the idea is.
How did we do in the past?
A lot of times we would have the number before the book close. This is pulling it pretty tight, having on the 18th. So
Yeah, there's also any number of circumstances that could prevent it not from being ready on the 18th. So
Yeah.
like we don't really gain much by waiting for it. We bid on we
Right.
vote on what we have in front of us. If we get to town hall and something significantly has changed, or
we should
during town
re-vote
meeting,
it. Yeah.
Revoted.
we'll just tell John that we're revoting it and we'll present the
Right.
new vote.
So yeah, normally in the morning of town meeting, we'll be there a little early to vote on things like this where there's new information. And we can vote again. But I don't think it hurts to, the basic idea is the same. And if it's a stunning change, well, if it's lower, we're all happy, and if it's stunningly higher, I guess we can revote the
Revote
new
it.
number, but our motion would be on this particular number, so.
Okay, so I'm hearing that we vote now and then we revisit if
That's
the
in our-
numbers have increased.
And it does say or another such amount, so wouldn't that cover us?
Well, it's not covering us, we're just making a recommendation,
Recommendation.
and if the motion, so when when somebody stands up from the school committee to make this motion on town meeting floor, they're gonna have a number. And if we voted a different number, generally, we
Oh,
will
okay.
revote.
We can call it out
Okay.
at that
And we
time.
can, you just raise your hand, and John recognizes the chair or somebody, and they say, hey, the AFC just voted, you
Okay.
know, 6-2
recommend that.
in favor of this or something.
The
Okay,
number and a source, because both of those could change.
Right.
So. if
But
we
yeah,
decide
the
to make
source
this free
change,
cash,
and that's
we
pretty
revote
true
it.
of any article. If
okay.
we voted for certain things, and some of them we often have to sort of try. But
We inevitably will revote a couple of things on the
Yeah.
floor regardless.
Oh, really?
On that day. Yep.
yeah, it's kind of how you stay awake.
It's kind of like roll call, like who is paying attention still.
So are we discussing about 15A or B? Or?
B,
15B. 15A we have
roof.
already voted.
Oh.
Yeah,
the roof.
the roof.
All right, well, I'll put it in play anyway. I move the AFC recommend the town borrow $5,732,830, the purpose of the high school A and B wing roof replacement and rim repairs.
Bradley, second.
Any questions or comments? Not, let's go ahead with the vote. Ahuja, yes.
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Clap yes.
Ansonia, yeah.
Kumsi, yes.
Leslie, yes.
Thank you. So the AFC recommends borrowing for high school A and B roof placement and rim repairs project, Article 15B 700. Move ahead with the
Capital stabilization.
capital stabilization fund, which is Article 16.
Yes, we were talking about this earlier tonight. I move the AFC recommend town meeting transfer from free cash $256,000 and $594 for the purpose for putting a transfer to the capital stabilization fund.
Bradley, second.
Any questions or comments? Not, let's start voting. Ahuja, yes.
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Clap yes.
Ansonia, yes.
Kumsi, yes.
Leslie, yes.
Great. So we have AFC recommend Article 16 Capital Stabilization Fund 700. Let's move ahead to the one where we had a presentation today, which is Article 19 Police Department Organization Assessment and Strategic Planning.
Leslie, I move the AFC recommend town meeting vote in favor of transferring $100,000 from free cash for the purpose of conducting a police department organizational assessment and strategic plan.
Bradley, second.
Any questions or comments? So with any study, I was having questions on it just before. I don't know if the chief read my mind or our mind or what happened, but I'm swayed towards seeing that the chief understands what we need from this study and go for it. So yeah, I definitely would want to support this study or planning assessment, organization assessment. That's my comment.
I mean, I feel that obvious, if you want to get, I think it's important to have outside organizations look at how you're organized and what you're doing, because you want to make sure you're doing things the best way, not just cost-wise, but also for the safety of the officers, for the safety of the people in town.
Yep.
And so I think it is healthy to have this sort of, I look at it almost as an audit of our processes and systems. And and I think that has value, given how much we spend there, we'll be spending for the next 10 years.
Exactly.
You know, I had a guess, that's $30 million or something like that, for the police department. So I think could be money well spent.
I think that's a really good perspective, right? The cost of the study compared to their overall budget, right, gives you some real perspective in terms of
Yeah.
the value of looking at the efficiency or looking at the staffing, and not what I'd really considered, right, compared to the overall.
Yeah, I cannot emphasize
The
enough.
current budget, I guess, police department is 5.2 million, so I was way off. It'd be $50 million in 10 years, or but it'd probably be up from there, so it's probably 60. So, in that perspective, spending money to
Yeah,
figure
I
it
cannot
out
emphasize
makes sense.
more that, if these studies do end up giving us some good results, we need to define the scope of it properly. Otherwise, it's a wild goose chase. I mean, you don't get anything out of it. So we need to exactly define what should be the scope of the work, so that whoever is doing the study has an idea of what we want them to look at.
I think that's very.
When was the last time one of these studies was done? Did we get any information on that? I don't recall hearing it. I'm just
Yeah, you
curious
sent it.
when.
They were sent out, Soraya.
So what it was, in 2019, there was a study done on just the patrol level, not to the extent that this study is going to be. So very basic patrol officer study was done 7 years ago.
You were saying something.
Does anybody recall how much that cost at the time in 2019, that study?
I get that for you.
I just have to look up town
2019.
meeting of 2018 or 19 or something. Yeah, it's probably more like a 30,000 or 50,000. Pre-COVID price.
See with the police.
You were saying something, Andrew?
I was just going to try and sort of put a cautionary note in terms of a statement about how we would expect, make sure that the work is done to like specs. I think the role that we have is very much to advise, to recommend, to encourage.
Yep.
But ultimately, the work is going to be executed by the different departments that do the job, be it school or DPW or police. And it's I think one of the things I've tried to learn to do better is to tell them what I'm going to be asking for on the back end when it comes around, which is why you've heard me recommend like focusing on stats and things like that. But when it comes to the rubber hitting the road, a lot of these things leave our own control, unfortunately. So I just say that as somebody who I don't want you to get your hopes too high into what exactly you can influence.
Yeah, I mean, just to add to what Andrew says, I think that's the forum where I think police chief considered a need to come here and give us some perspective about what this assessment is going to do. And we heard him, we asked those questions, and I mean, we have to rely on, we have to trust the departments that they are the best people, they know what they're doing and what will best help them run their departments. That's what they're meant for. So they're doing that job. So, yeah. Okay. Any other comments or questions? If not, let's start the vote.
Staffing study was done for 15,495
Okay.
in 2019.
Huh.
Good find.
Wow.
That for the police, the more comprehensive one that we've been talking about for fire in 2018 was about 50,000, I believe.
Good to know.
I think. I'd have to-
Thank you, Christy. Real-time search. Better than Google. Okay. Shall we start voting? All good? Okay. Ahuja, yes.
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Clap, yes.
It's okay, yes.
CS.
Leslie, yes.
All right, thank you. And AFC recommends town to do AFC recommends town for Article 19. Police Department Organization Assessment and Strategic Planning 700. The next one is Fire Services Regionalization Study.
Everybody said.
Some questions. Are we ready to vote now on the regional study for fire services? Article 20.
Yep. We
Okay.
need a motion for
I kicked the ball. I recommend the AFC I move the AFC recommend town meeting transfer $50,000 from free cash for the purpose of a fire services regionalization study.
Bradley, second. Sorry.
Any questions, comments on this?
I think it's really an interesting proposition, and I'll be really interested to see what the study says, because I think with I've been, I constantly think about if there are areas where, we split up from Marlborough and Southborough and Northborough because nobody wanted to walk that far to church in 1730, but it's not that big of a distance anymore. And if there have been good examples of how this has been effective to get us better services at a lower cost, like the animal control officer, for instance. And I think it's well worth exploring because, again, if you go to the fire department budget and multiply that by 10 years or something, it's a big number. And the equipment, as the chief said, is just getting more and more and specialized equipment, and you can probably share some of that amongst towns, and we end up working with all these folks anyway because they all come every time there's something going on. So I applaud the chief and the town manager bringing this forward.
Yeah.
I think it's I couldn't believe it when I heard it. Actually,
I
I'm
agree.
too excited, I guess, but we'll see what the study says. Maybe it's a terrible idea, but it's well worth exploring. Very worth exploring.
Yeah, I would agree with that in the sense that, this is exactly the kind of thing which I felt very comfortable with, that what is the goal, what are we trying to achieve, what is the outcome. I think everything is laid out, that what is the end goal of this, that the name itself, like regionalization study itself says. So yeah, I would agree with that.
But they all come together with us anyway, right? He said, Westborough and is usually Marlborough and
We have
Northborough, they all,
mutual aid agreement.
yeah, we have agreements already. Isn't that kind of the same thing?
But this is a coordination that doesn't exist currently. This is a proactive coordination, and from the select board, it's making sure we align on radio frequencies, on turnout gear, on planning, on equipment. Just on the equipment conversation alone, and I didn't go into this, but this is where there could be more significant savings than this if it's determined that we should co-fund equipment, like the water rescue thing comes to my mind, like
I
at the
thought the
top of the
same
list. Is like, this is where this study would tell us like what this sort of regionalization would allow or would encourage for distributed spending on things like that.
Okay.
And to be fair, there is some regionalization now. There are districts of some of those specialized skills where we participate
Animal control.
already. No, I meant it would fire, like the scuba team or something isn't
Yeah.
just Westborough. It's made up of, people from the area. But
And then
Kristen, do we get to see these reports when they are done? Is it a public information?
Still be public.
Okay.
hey, you paid for it. You get to read it.
I know, I want to see what is, we've been talking about it so much, so I would like to see what the outcome of those studies are.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
and my thinking about all of this is that ultimately these studies, because it's being split 50-50 with Southborough, the regionalization will be the result of defining needs and meeting those needs. Like that would be, and can it be done or not? So in, let's call it a worst case scenario, a determination is made that there's a value for this, but it's voted down at town meeting for whatever reason. The money spent to define the needs is still valid, and how that should be part of what our fire department should be using to help inform how they're going to plan going forward. So I look at this as a no lose opportunity for at least a portion of that data.
Okay.
That's good. Any other thoughts, comments? Shall we vote? Hearing none. Okay. Ahuja, yes.
Angelakis, yes?
Bradley, yes?
Clap yes.
Hankook, yes.
Kupsi, yes.
Leslie, yes.
Thank you. So AFC recommends Article Town to vote for Article 21, School Town Operational. Sorry,
No, skip
Article
one.
20. I'm moving faster.
Let's
So
go ahead.
AFC recommends Town to vote for Article 20, Fire Services Regionalization Study 700.
21.
Let's move next to the School Town Operational Efficiency Study. We had a presentation in the last meeting from the school committee, from the school superintendent. Please go ahead, Walter.
Okay. I move the AFC recommend town meeting vote in favor of transferring $75,000 from free cash for the purpose of a school town operational efficiency study.
Bradley, second.
Any questions or comments?
Just another, I mean, I think our committee's been asking for something like this since I've been on it, and maybe you remember even longer than that, Andrew, but
It's been a long time, yes.
it's another thing that's worth looking at. And again, I think an independent person doing it, when you have two elected boards, would have to, get the information somewhere. So I'm in favor.
Yeah, and I think the thing that sells this is not just that one or either side wants to do this. Both parties are interested in doing this, which means that the chances of there being a finding for efficiency where one side's like, no, we want to keep our person or keep our process, and the other one says otherwise, like that's reduced. So we have buy-in from both parties, makes the caveman redux efficiency good.
Good.
Where do you come up with these from? Caveman, hen house.
Caveman comes awfully close to home, let me tell you.
So I think, I mean, I'm all for this operational efficiency study. My only thing, what we discussed, I think, quite a lot in the last meeting as well with the superintendent was this could be like, there are so many pockets. I'm sure that there would be efficiencies found and with a great impact. So this is something which definitely will be, I'm hoping, my hope is that will be giving us a big bang for the buck, not just bang for the buck, but big bang for the buck in terms of the amount that's here. Because there could be so many areas within school, like school forms the highest contribution to our tax bill. So I'm hoping that with this efficiency, we'll get much more than what we are spending upon. Okay. Any other comments? If not, I'll start the vote. Ahuja, yes.
Angelakis, yes?
Bradley, yes?
Clap yes.
Saroja? Saroja, you're on mute.
Hey guys, sorry, my microphone just got stuck. Yes, sorry, that's yes.
Kumsi, yes.
Leslie, yes.
So AFC recommends Article Town to vote for Article 21, which is School Town Operational Efficiency Study 700. We move ahead to Article 24, 25 will wait because I need to get more information from Chris or have him come in. Article
6 you want to wait on too. I think that's the
sidewalk.
They're still haggling over that,
Are they?
I think.
Sorry, what is it about what
The
you-
sidewalk
Otis Street.
at easements. That's still not, that might still get settled or something, possibly. Possibly.
I mean, I don't know.
No? Or we could wait on.
Okay. Then we move ahead to
29 we could vote on now. It's been filled
yeah.
in.
Now it's all no cash. Impact articles. Article 29.
Oh, that's an easy one.
Yeah, so in the final version, I guess the 60 days has been put in.
Yep.
So Leslie, I move the AFC recommend to town meeting to vote in favor of Article 29 and General Bylaws Article 2 as printed in the warrant.
Bradley, second.
Any questions, comments?
It seems like raising the number of signatures has at least this year improved, in my opinion, the number of articles that came in, and those came in at the last minute. I think if you have a serious article you really want considered at town meeting, doing it ahead of time benefits the petitioners because it can be fully vetted and discussed and show up to various meetings. I don't know if full 60 days is needed, but certainly the clerk's office has got to process the signatures, and at the last minute when you're about to, print the warrant, which has to be final on that last day, it's kind of tough doing it the last couple of days that all that stuff comes in. So
Is it feasible though for somebody to provide information 60 days before? I mean, we are
The-
sitting a couple of weeks before the town meeting and we're still getting amendments to the articles.
So I bet you the students provided it at least 60 days in December. Yeah, so they had the one citizens petitions that we have on this warrant was presented in December. So that's,
And I'd be hard pressed to think of an article that if for some reason they were, just a couple of days too late and they missed it, that they couldn't have then brought it to the next town meeting. So it seemed, I mean, will the signatures carry over or?
No, the signatures don't carry over. You have to get a petition for a particular town meeting.
Oh, okay.
No, so it says if submitted less than 60 calendar days prior to the date of the annual or 60 prior to the date, a petitioned article will appear on the next warrant for which it is eligible.
Okay, well then they'd have to go back and get the signatures again, but it's not like they lose the opportunity of presenting this at all. It's just that they would miss the window for one town meeting and then they would have to go back and recollect the signatures.
Recollect the signatures and
actually
come back.
be curious if John doesn't usually like opining on these things, but he has the most experience with working with people that bring petitions. And if he had an opinion on whether he thought that the 60 days would be feasible.
I don't know of a case where people who have done citizens petitions haven't thought about it 60 days ahead of time. I don't know if they've always turned in their petitions, and I don't have, all-knowing knowledge of what goes into petitioners' minds, but I don't think I can recall one where, as long as people knew in advance, for instance, through a law like this, that if people knew that's what they had to deal with, that's what they have to deal with. And although I won't take a position on this, as always, I will just remind people that if there were ever a select board called special town meeting, they could get the same petition put out with 100 signatures. And if they really, really felt strongly, for instance, when some people wanted to present the library edition, 200 voters can sort of compel the select board to call a special town meeting. So, from that point of view, and given that other towns seem to have been successful with this, I don't think this is, it doesn't seem to be so restrictive that it causes undue duress for which there isn't another solution.
Yeah, okay. And so right now, we probably have effectively a 15-day or, it depends when the select board closes the warrant, but ahead of town meeting, it's about 3 weeks-ish. Yeah. Yeah, 20-something days. So this is sort of just adding a month before that, which gives you a month before you close the warrant and for us and others that have to decide opinions on it or learn about it, times. I think that's pretty fair. It isn't from when the signature, from when the warrant closes, it's from the town meeting, so.
Yep. Okay. Any other comments? Let's start the vote. Ahuja, yes.
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes?
Clap, yes.
Hanzo, yes.
Kumsi, yes.
Let's say yes.
And the AFC recommends Article 29, which is to amend the general bylaw, Article 2 petition deadline by 700 vote. We move ahead to, we'll skip Article 30 because they will present on Thursday. I'll reach out to them. They were here today, but obviously not planned for presentation. Okay, Article 31, which is the downtown business district. Please go ahead.
Ready to vote?
Yep.
Oh, they had a presentation on February 9th, just to keep it on the record. The planning department.
Okay, this is just zoning. So, I recommend I moved, the AFC recommends the town meeting vote in favor of Article 31, amend zoning bylaw, downtown business district, as printed in the warrant.
Bradley, second.
Any comments or questions on the downtown business district? Not, let's start the vote. Ahuja, yes.
Angelakis, yes.
Yes?
Clap, yes.
Hanzo, yes.
Kumsi, yes.
Leslie, yes.
AFC recommends the town to amend the zoning bylaw, downtown business district 700. We move ahead to Article 32, which is the off-premise digital billboards.
Okay.
Oh,
Get to it. This other one's a long one.
yep.
A lot of trees. Tried in that one. Crap.
Good grief.
Here it is.
You found it?
Leslie, I move the AFC recommend town meeting vote in favor of the amend zoning bylaw, section 8.2 F, off-premise digital billboards as printed in the warrant.
Bradley, second.
Any questions or comments?
I'm not in favor of this. I realize it's a revenue source of some unknown amount. They threw out $60,000 for $8 a year on my taxes. I'd rather not have a double-sided huge billboard on 495 that I look at. I don't see a huge value here, and it's just my opinion and my lack of like of billboards, but I can see others may appreciate it more. I'm going to vote against.
My general idea has been that is it worth having a billboard on the location, and is the money or the amount that we are giving to the town worth everything in terms of the legal and all other things that may come up along with it. So I personally am not in favor of those kind of digital billboards as well, especially when there's a very limited upside to a greater downside probably.
I'm just curious, what kind of legal issues do we have to deal with these digital billboards? I mean, somebody doesn't like an ad which I'm putting there and they could sue the town?
So there was public access or public ads you could put on there so that they were permitted to have space. So are they giving us the time they need would be a legal consideration. You know, there's the material. Anybody could object to a billboard, but they could do that with a regular billboard as well.
Yeah, I mean, why would town come into picture? I mean, if they don't like the material of the ad, they would probably sue the company or the business which is
Yeah.
putting that ad.
You sue
I
everybody.
don't see a large legal thing here. I agree with you that I don't think there'd
I
be
mean,
much for that.
It could be a source of people coming into the town for various things. For example, I mean, Arturo's puts an ad there. You know, people passing by on 495 would see that. Oh, okay, there's an Italian restaurant here. Let's go have dinner.
It can be. Yeah, I mean, there's economic development reasons. I mean, its location between Route 9 and the Mass Pike entrance makes me a little less thinking it's got huge value to Westborough for that, because you're kind of,
You would pass by that and move to the next
if
one.
you're heading south, you're already past us, and if you're heading north, well, maybe you can see it from the other side of the highway and you would get off, but that's certainly possible. And that's certainly was brought up at the planning board meeting.
I had an idle concern about the fact that the requirements require a road to be built to the billboard for access purposes. But if the DPW was okay with whatever would constitute a road, I'd imagine it doesn't have to be a paved highway, but if they're okay with whatever constitutes a road to the billboard,
My understanding was that the place they want to put it in, they already have access.
oh, do they?
That
Okay.
was in case you picked a place that was in the woods, but the people from that billboard place said that generally that wouldn't pay, like you couldn't pay back putting in a road with the billboard.
I mean, putting in a
Revenue.
road seems cost prohibitive for a billboard, right? Like,
Yeah,
It could just be a dirt road. I mean, like,
could be, but they're really there's only, if they put this one in where they want, there's only one other place that one could be.
okay.
And I don't,
Sorry, question. Are we anticipating an additional cost from this road that may not necessarily be a proper road that leads to this digital billboard?
I don't think
Is
they're,
that a cost that needs to be accounted for by any chance? And that maybe perhaps not now, but by virtue of agreeing to the digital billboard, is there a cost in the future that we would have to contemplate?
that's not, it wouldn't be a public road, it's on private property. So, it really wouldn't.
Yeah, the billboard is at a private property.
Yeah.
So
I don't.
if I had a concern, the fact that it was on private property just obviates that concern. So
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Any-
because you wouldn't put it on public property. It has to actually literally be in a business zone. There are all these rules, so there aren't that many that could be there.
All right, ready to vote, or do we need more info? Okay. Ahuja, no.
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes?
clap yes.
So,
It's okay, yes.
Kumsi, yes.
Leslie, no.
AFC recommends Article 32, Section 8.2F of premise, digital billboards 520.
5-2. Beauty.
All right, the next one, which probably will be the last one for the night, Article 33.
Here it is.
this is one research
I
drive.
move the AFC recommend a town meeting to vote in favor of amending the zoning map as Guess it's for
From
two
industrial
parcels
to
in
business.
35-167-0 and 35-167A-0 from industrial VIB zoning district and industrial DID overlay district to highway business zoning district, as printed in the article.
Bradley, second.
These are my
That was
favorite
kind of
ones.
wordy.
I'll choose my favorite of those words and second them.
Any comments? So this is the article where we had a presentation.
Yeah, and then they came for a
and then
second
they came
one
for the second one last time.
yeah.
They did inform us in an email that they were coming. We didn't see that.
Yeah, that came into the, yeah.
I have mixed feelings on this one. I don't know.
I agree with you. The certainly would be advantageous to have something there that had life to it. A mixed use development has a chance for having higher property values, but you'll also have more residents as well. But it's probably a healthier thing for the town.
And I would be much more concerned. I have a really hard time accepting the 12 to 15 kids that would come out of like 200 units
School.
just on principle. But our school system has declining enrollment significantly, and I think that this article more than any emphasizes that one of the things we should be talking at our tri-board meetings is, what are the other plans that are coming around town? Because this would be one set of properties coming online, but what else is out there? And I feel like we may not be making the best big picture assessment based on this, but in the scope of this article, I know what it's like to work in a food desert. This is going to improve property opportunities for the businesses and the moving people in. So I'm generally in favor of that.
But one question I have is, do we have enough infrastructure to support these additional 200 houses?
Correct.
I mean, talk about roads, talk about fire, talk about police.
Even the sewer, sorry, Chris, but just to add, I watched the select board meeting, and one of the things that I took away as like, oh, I didn't think about that, was the sewer impact. Like we currently, how much of, optimum level are we at right now at a sewer level? Because if it says that if we are at a 80% capacity, then the town, you get under the watch list of the state Department of Public Works, and then you have to start giving them or sharing with them about the plans to increase your sewer capacity or your capital expenditure to improve on it if your sewer capacity is up to 80%. So I don't think right now we are anywhere past that or close. I don't know. I don't want to comment saying that we are close to that, but I do want to say that, are we ready yet with all those capacities? And I think given that, and even from the police perspective, if we are doing a study to see where are we at right now in terms of our organizational capacity as well as optimization, and even at a fire regionalization aspect, then I would rather wait before committing to these kind of expansions.
Yeah, the gentleman who was presenting was throwing out numbers like, millions of dollars coming in as, taxes and all that stuff. And he was even proposing that money will take care of additional resources, which we will probably need. But again, there is no detailed study which was done to give us confidence that the infrastructure which we have currently will support these families. And if truly what the gentleman was saying happens, will we be in a position to take on more from all perspectives? Right.
Totally fair.
And sorry, just to add, because I watched select board meeting, I think one of the other points that came up, which I thought, I didn't think about that as well, is that do we want to do a spot zoning where we put in certain segments of the land for a different purpose versus putting in the entire zone as, if we are really thinking about growing our town as for more residents, do we need to consider more areas of land or a complete like full parcel of land rather than doing that spot zoning? So I would think that it has to be a more holistic study than just doing these spot zones.
But just changing the zoning doesn't get them anything else, right? I mean, they'd have to submit plans and all kinds of things that we would have to approve. Not we, but the planning committee.
The planning as well as the select board has to
Yeah,
approve
and the
that.
select board. So, I don't know.
The select board doesn't approve building plan. They make recommendations to the planning board on site plans, but they don't actually approve
Okay.
them.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the issue. You're doing the zoning, you're not approving the plan yet. 'Cause
Right.
The plan really doesn't exist if the zoning doesn't happen, and they don't have all those details and all the information at this point, so it's.
So changing the zoning would allow them to come up with a more solid plan, I guess. They were just throwing out ideas, you
Right.
know. One person said four residential buildings, and somebody, with the other guy said two, or, I don't know. That's why I'm confused.
So this approval means we are changing the zoning from industrial to residential.
Mixed.
No,
No.
industry to business.
Business, so
So this is
multifamilies are allowed in
highway
business
business.
district. But so are restaurants, so are retail, so are, they say
Gyms.
sports clubs
Yeah.
and other things, so. So the intention, well, I mean, again, someone else could come in and develop it, anything that fit within that zoning. But their intention was a multi-use property.
It's little comforting that even if we say yes to this, nothing will happen unless there is a detailed planning done by
Right.
the business folks. I mean, they have to present plans, and the town has to review those plans thoroughly just to make sure that the infrastructure can support what they are trying to do. So it's not pretty much set and done. There is more work to be done after this is approved. That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, but the question is, do you want to do these spots, or do you want to look at the entire area altogether and say then everything should be a highway, mixed use probably?
It might be a little challenging to do that because you don't know what they want to build over there unless they submit a plan. I mean, like how many houses are multifamily homes are they constructing? How many business places are they bringing into that area? So without that plan, it will be hard for us to do a holistic study on what is that we need for the town.
So then wouldn't it be better to do I mean, I totally get what you're saying. I'm just thinking that would it be better to do a holistic study of what parcels should be done versus doing these spot approvals, then do a study on those to figure out actually can we support it or not, versus let's do the study first and then.
Well, look who's into paying for studies now. No, I'm only kidding. No, I'm only kidding.
Not
I think-
another study.
That's the warrant coming up for next week.
More specifically,
That was good.
that's a good argument, but it's also, to me, it's letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. If you believe that this provides opportunities and the planning can still back it up, that I think that is a good step forward, potentially, presuming the right plans can be approved that meet the town needs. And more can come later, you know, that this is not a final bell to be rung, so.
All right, that's,
Awesome.
I mean, across the street, we've got El Basha and, I mean, other mixed use across the street, right? Across 9. So that's what they're trying to do too.
Okay, I'm done. 9:23. Voting.
Let's do it.
All right. Ahuja, no.
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes?
Clap yes.
So yes.
Kumsi, yes.
Leslie, yes.
And the AFC recommends, the AFC recommends town to vote for Article 33, research drive to Highway Business Zoning District 610. And that ends all the articles that we could potentially have voted today for. We still have a few remaining, but we'll get more information on those. All right, we are meeting next on Thursday, where we have two presentations, which is one from the, Walter, do you want to just give a heads up to them, confirming that they are coming this Thursday?
Yes.
Right,
That's the
one.
students with the voting
Yes.
petition.
That's right.
I will.
And one is for the energy code. And the third one, I'll reach out to DPW for if Chris can come in for the two articles that are there, as well as the refresh reserve
If not, maybe you can come to Monday or something.
next
Yeah.
Monday.
And we
Right.
skipped the cemetery. Do we need somebody for there? Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. So we
Also,
can-
on February 24th, if we look at the select board agenda, we can find
Okay. And was what date? The February 24th? Okay.
2024 select board. Awesome.
And then,
Liaison, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
and then also we'll start in on the budget.
On the
maybe
budgets as well.
Thursday.
Yes. So in terms of our, I think I'll just open up that as well, meetings. So I hope everyone can see. I know it's little small, but
Now that's small.
oh, that's small.
I thought it was
We-
my eyes.
Okay. So we are on March 2nd, and we have next meeting where we have two presentations, as well as we need to start putting in the AFC book recommendations as well.
Yeah, so as your liaison to the printer, I spoke with them, I wrote to them today, and we have to go back to March. Yes, so town meeting's 21st, so their book's got to be delivered on Friday the 20th, and so we have to be done on Monday the 16th, which means on Thursday the 12th, we have to vote. The booklet basically has to be done except for corrections, et cetera, et cetera.
Thursday, March 12th.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's like next week.
Yeah, and so when you see John, Christie, yeah, ask him when we get our first shot at the financial sheets. Because even if he's going to change them a bunch, a lot of what you might
He was
want to
going to
write in
send
your
something tomorrow, yeah.
in the dialogue is based on those sheets. So.
So what he mentioned was that he will share tomorrow on the spreadsheets. I'm going
Tomorrow
back
we'll
to
have
my
the
notes.
updated budget table
Yes.
for you.
Okay.
But I will check with John because I know he was working on some of that stuff over the weekend.
And they change a few times because usually we find things, but at least if you had the basics, it can
Yeah.
help you start drafting.
Yep.
And just change the numbers as they change.
Okay, so that will come in tomorrow. I'll check with you, Christy, on that. Yeah.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for
Thank you,
coming,
Christine.
Christy.
Good night.
Appreciate it.
All right, so yeah, do we want to start like a draft budget AFC book and start filling in the narrative there?
What does
Yeah,
this
so,
look like?
we obviously, John will provide his section and the votes are the votes.
I
There are
think he
two
left
main
us.
things we have to do. One is if we want to put comments in
Yes.
on the votes. And the other is there's usually, as you've seen in the other books, call it a monologue, dialogue, whatever you want to call it. There's a description of our version of the state of the town or whatever.
Yep.
That's usually gleamed out of either stuff we've written before or out of the notes, and someone's got to take a shot at starting that. And,
Yep.
And then, you can edit it from there. But Prashant, or Andrew.
Yep,
Andrew's,
yep,
Andrew's smiling, he's
But,
ready.
So I think this was something which I wanted to call out as well, that we haven't had a vice chair for a while now,
Not since December.
since December. So could we vote, or now, I know it's late, but can we vote on the vice chair?
If only we had a candidate.
Andrew has
I
very,
would be happy to put my nomination in if you'd be happy to vote for me.
Okay, you're it.
motion to get Andrew.
I move to appoint Andrew Bradley as AFC Vice Chair for a term that ends, I don't know, a year from town meeting or something like that. When
Angelakis
Prashant
seconds it.
does or whatever.
Ahuja, yes.
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Clap, yes.
Monsoga, yes.
Kumsi, yes.
Leslie, yes.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
We have the
Andrew.
new vice chair for AFC.
Thank you.
Which is
That'll be
Andrew
right.
Bradley. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah.
I think that that's actually what you just had gone into.
Start writing about, the-
So you're writing the book now.
yeah.
That's a first job.
All right.
He might quit.
That's about the time I stepped down when
Vote
I
to
had to do
withdraw.
the.
No, I think we can talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I have a couple
yeah,
things to
yeah.
follow up with you.
Absolutely. Yep. We can, at least what Walter, you said
Yeah.
is that we can start.
I certainly
Writing
have
a draft.
the Word versions of the last 2 annual town meetings that I can send to you because
Perfect.
you can steal
Yeah.
stuff. And Jane wrote the one from fall town meeting, and they're all not that different. We generally write a little more during annual town meeting because it's budgets and all that stuff. Whereas fall's kind of mellow.
Prepare to embrace the fact that brevity is the soul of wit.
Yes.
It is good to be brief.
Perfect. All right. So we're good. We meet on Thursday.
Yes.
And we don't have the minutes because they haven't come, but we have got Amanda who will be making those
That's
minutes.
huge news.
Yep.
Oh, is Amanda?
Amanda has agreed
Yes.
to do it, at least temporarily. And
Yes.
they've agreed to post our position on the website.
Oh, great.
On the website as well.
Two forms of progress in that area.
Very exciting.
But yeah, I guess Amanda's going to help out. And
Yep.
she helps with the book too, to be fair. She drafts the book.
Yep. Yep.
And
yep.
what's her current position?
She's the executive assistant for the town manager office.
Oh, wow.
So normally she wouldn't have time to do this stuff, but she's finding it.
She can find the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But normally that person does do the book because they get the stuff from us and the select board and
Yep.
put it all together into something.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Sounds
that's
good.
nice of her to help. She getting extra pay then?
My job.
Out of scope.
I just got volunteered by her boss.
Adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Clap second.
Ahuja, yes.
Angelakis, yes.
Bradley, yes.
Clap, yes.
Monsoga, yes.
Kumsi, yes.
Leslie, yes.
Westborough TV, thank you very much. We are adjourned.